Our next speaker is a gentleman who barely needs an introduction. I'm not sure I can do it justice in any case. A longtime fixture of the KSFO morning show, a local weatherman for ABC and CBS. He's familiar to almost everyone in the Bay Area, and I'm going to say he's familiar to every one of us in this crowd today. He's a nationally known author with a new book out this week called Eco-Tyranny. We'll tell you all about it, I'm sure. Among Brian Sussmen's lesser known but exceptionally important work is a project called Brian's Kids, which has helped over 400 children in foster care find permanent adoptive homes. That's great work. So I'm very pleased to introduce to you Brian Sussmen, KSFO Radio.
I just asked the dangerous question, how long would you like me to speak? Because, you know, we do 4 hours every morning. I could kind of go deep if you wanted me to, but let me just tell you, first of all, Patriots, thank you for being here. Thank you for your participation. It's a beautiful day. You could be doing a lot of other things. You chose to be here. You chose to stand up for your country. You chose to stand up for your state. You know, I was born in this state. Some of you decided to join us out here on the left coast. I do remember when it was the Golden State. Sadly, those days are far, far behind us. But I'm committed to see this state turn around. And I know you are as well. I'm really stoked because the next book comes out on Tuesday. We do have some advanced copies here. I talked to the publisher to try to get a special price for this event. In the stores, they retail for $25.95. We're doing it for $20 plus. We'll pay the sales tax, so just $20 even. But Eco-Tyranny is the name of the book. And I will just give you a brief encapsulation of what's inside this book. If you want to know why Obama and the environmentalists hate big oil, hate nuclear power, want to see every dam in America torn down, want to see millions of acres of private property federalized, it's in this book, and it, folks, needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped. And you know, here's the deal. It's the most damning expose of the environmental movement ever. So, and you know me, you know, former meteorologist. I worked at Channel 11 in San Jose way back in the day, before there was any gray hair, before there were any wrinkles. I mean, way back in the day. So I love the weather. But here's the deal. Leftist thinkers forever have realized the most scary thing on the planet is weather. Hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, windstorms. I mean, those are frightening. Everyone's afraid of those kind of storms. So leftist thinkers have always thought, okay, here's how we're going to do this. Capitalism produces pollution. No one likes pollution. Real or imagined, capitalism creates pollution. If we can just get people to believe that their pollution, capitalism's pollution, can change the weather, oh, then we'll have them. You want to know the first two guys to ever think that went through? It's in the book. It's shocking. Page 31. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, 1883, said, if we can convince them that their activities will change the weather, then we'll have them. We'll hook them. It'll be great. Then we can implement our plan. Folks, that's what's going on today. That's exactly what's going on today. And what we're seeing is a usurpation of private property. We're seeing progressive taxes. We're seeing burdensome regulation. And it's strangling us. I mean, more than any other state, it's killing us here in California. This has got to stop. We are taxed enough already. Okay, so we were founded because we were taxed enough already. There were 51 signers to the Declaration of Independence. 50 of these men were married. Benjamin Franklin's wife had died sometime before, so 50 guys were married to wonderful, these were just hardcore patriots. Their wives were tough women. And there were 50 conversations that went like this. Okay, honey, if I sign this Declaration of Independence, you know they're coming after me. And if they come after me, they're coming after you, and they're coming after our kids. Are you sure you want me to sign this? And there were 50 women that looked those men in the eye and said, sign it. We are taxed enough already. Sign it. We want our liberty. Sign it. We want our freedom. Sign it. Do it for our children. Okay? It's 2012. We're here again, folks. We're here again. These patriots said they would give their life, their fortune, and their sacred honor for the sake of this country, right? Life, fortune, sacred honor. It's right there in the Declaration of Independence. So here's how it played out. I'll give you 3 quick stories. They're actually in the book in greater detail, but let me just give you 3 of them. Robert Stockton and his wife, Annis. Robert was a champion to the crown. I mean, the Brits loved this man. He had been a great mover and shaker for the crown in the colonies. They had treated him well, but something happened. Robert Stockton looked around and said, okay, these taxes that they're employing upon the colonies, this is too much. He ended up becoming signer of the Declaration. Immediately upon signing the Declaration of Independence, the Brits come into his property before he could get there. His children run in one direction. They take his wife captive. They put her in a prison. No change of clothing, no bed to lay her head, no food. She was cared for by one of their African servants who found her and decided he would take care of her. What ended up happening in this particular story was there was a prison swap. She gets out of prison, but her life is just in shambles. It's a wreck. She's so ill, so sick. Even though this servant had been trying to care for her, she ends up dying. This is a man who retires from public service because he's so brokenhearted and just kind of wanders into obscurity. This is a family that literally gave their life, their fortune, their sacred honor for this country because they were taxed enough already. Let me give you another story that's also in the book. There's a guy named John Hart. You know, you see these names of the Declaration. We don't think much about him. It's just, well, it was John Hancock. Hey, put your John Hancock on this, buddy. And John Hancock's become a verb. Give me the old John Hancock. These were people who gave it all for the United States of America. And not all of them were well educated. Some of them were incredibly well educated. Some were lawyers, some were physicians, some were pastors, some were just farmers. They knew how to work the land. Such was John Hart. John Hart was a simple man, but everybody loved John Hart. You know, he's just a guy with lots of integrity. And so he and his wife, Deborah, they sort of rose up through the ranks of leadership in their community, and he became a sheriff, kind of like a constable, actually, which was like a sheriff back in the day. And the British Crown loved this man because, again, he was a very loyal subject doing their bidding in these new colonies. But then something happened called the Stamp Act, where the Brits decided, okay, every piece of paper that is sold in the colonies, we're going to tax. Every piece of paper. The people were enraged by this, and none no more than John Hart. He was so sickened by this egregious tax that was being placed upon the people. So Hart said, okay, I got to do something here. He becomes a signer. Don't want to get too much feedback here. We're good? Good. He becomes a signer to the Declaration. And so when you look on the Declaration, do it tonight when you get home, just go online, look at John Hart, just a simple signature. Well, let me tell you about Hart. Immediately after signing the document, he runs back to his farm because he knew the Brits were PO'd. He gets to his farm. His wife had been very, very ill. He did not realize how ill she was until he got there. She literally dies upon his arrival back at the farm. He doesn't have time to bury her before the Brits come onto the property looking for John Hart. He shouts to his children, run. They take off in one direction. John Hart takes off into the forest. The Brits follow him. He was being chased in the forest for an entire year with only the clothes on his back, living in caves, eating berries for an entire year. Finally, the Brits left the area. He decided it might be safe to come back to the farm. He was terribly worried about his children, and he really wanted to bury his wife. He comes back to the farm. It has been burned to the ground. The livestock slaughtered. The horse is gone. He can't find his dead wife's body anywhere. He's finally reunited with his children who'd been taken in by neighbors. He goes into a deep depression, dies within a year on his property, and his friend said, ironically, John Hart died of a broken heart. These are the stories of our founders. These are people who said, we're taxed enough already, and I got to do something about it, and I'm willing to give my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. Men and women alike stood up because they couldn't take it anymore. Now, folks, I'm just asking you, you're doing something. You're here. You got your signs. You're knocking on doors. You're going to be at the polling places watching over the vote to make sure that that's not trashed. You're supporting candidates. You're opening up your checkbook. You're doing whatever you can. Can I just urge you, please do more for the sake of John and Deborah Hart, for the sake of Richard and Anna Stockton. We need to save this country. We need to return it back to the founding principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, because we are taxed enough already. This isn't a Republican thing. This isn't a Democrat thing. This is an American thing, folks. That's what this is all about. We need to find men and women of good character, men and women who hold morality and virtue at the core of their being. We're going to go out there and fight the good fight, and we are going to support them. But we have to be diligent. We have to be vigilant. We cannot give up. We just can't. We're at a crossroads. We can't give up. Now, I'm doing what I can do, okay? I come to the microphone, not because I'm looking to make an easy buck. God knows waking up at 2 in the morning, it's not easy. But I'm doing this, folks, because I care about this country. This isn't entertainment for me, okay? I care about this country. I write these books because I care about the United States of America. I'm writing these books, I'm doing what I can do, I'm out here because I care about my kids and my future grandkids, okay? I don't want them to look me in the eye someday when I'm an old man pushing around a walker with drool coming out of the side of my mouth, and they say, why didn't you do anything? Well, I'm doing something. You're doing something. We're all doing something. Let's keep doing it, because our work is cut out for us here over the next few months. God bless the United States of America. God save the good state of California. Thank you for your support. I hope I get to meet you over here in the booth. Again, thank you very much, Patriots. Really appreciate you. God bless you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Sussmen. Thank you very much, Brian.